I have been looking forward to this ever since I finished season 1 of the Netflix animated musical series Centaurworld. Well, good news, all of you fans of Horse, Wamawink, Comfortable Doug, and the rest of the herd, because the second season of Centaurworld is now here. After the Nowhere King has been released from the Rift, Horse and Rider both attempt to recruit armies to defend their respective realms from destruction. Alright, so if you weren't on board for Season 1 of Centaurworld, there's no way you're going to be on board for this one. I mean, Season 1 spent a great deal of time establishing the world, the characters, and the quest that Horse was on to reunite with Rider. And that first season was random and odd, and surprisingly dark, even though it was wrapped in this colorful and cheerfully musical package. Well, Season 2 fully embraces the weird, and it just goes for it. And I mean, oh my goose, I loved every minute of it. We are still following Horse, Wamawink, Glendale, Ched, Zulius, and Durpleton, but we still get to meet a few new characters too, as Horse does her best to recruit a Centaurworld army to defeat the Nowhere King. We meet cold tars, horse tars, bird tars, gopher tars, worm tars, I mean just a whole bunch of other ones too. And each brings a different set of weird, but every time I was thoroughly entertained. And I love how self-aware this show is. There's an entire episode dedicated to how our heroes are obsessively watched and followed. It's a spin on the influencer generation, and there's the inclusion of some very disturbing imagery when it comes to these sort of tweets. Now, just like in Season 1, there are a ton of musical numbers throughout the show. Now, I don't think there were as many earworms this time, but that could also come down to personal preference. I mean, I still had a blast with the songs. They just didn't all have the same melodic draw for me. And that's not to say that there weren't some that I totally loved, because there were. I mean, and more often than not, even if the melody didn't totally connect with me, the lyrics were potent and layered with meaning. I mean, even the opening song to this season is brilliant because it's a giant recap of the previous season, and it's just done so well. Amidst all of the weirdness that exists in the story, there's also quite a bit of emotion that it contains. I mean, the first chunk of episodes is simply Horse trying to recruit the army, and how her feelings come into play and then cause conflict with others in her herd. But there are moments that the story actually goes pretty deep, and it's surprisingly mature, showing once again that while this can be enjoyed by the younger audiences just due to the cutesy animation and upbeat songs, older audiences can be captivated by the engaging story. And in this case, everybody who watches, we win. Now for me, my favorite character from Season 1 was Comfortable Doug. I mean, not only did I find him incredibly funny, but his theme song was also one that instantly got stuck in my head, and I kept wanting to see more of him. Luckily, Comfortable Doug is back in this second season. And just when I thought I couldn't like him more, in the final episode, he transcends my expectations and becomes even more awesome. And then you'll definitely want to watch all the way through the credits, because we get a special portion with Comfortable Doug to close it all out. I got the sense from this that the second season is going to be the final conclusion to the show, and that we won't see any more of Centaurworld. Now, I could be wrong, but the story has a full conclusion that I found to be extremely satisfying and then also incredibly dark. There's a moment in the climax that I just didn't expect, and I was even a little shocked by it, but it does fit perfectly. This season is 8 episodes, compared with Season 1 that had 10 episodes, but really this could be 10 episodes because, while the first 7 are 27 minutes long, the last one is 73 minutes, which is almost the length of 3 episodes, but we just don't have any of the interruptions in that last epic sequence. I loved the story progression in this and how many different themes are addressed throughout. I mean, there is loyalty, friendship, love, fatherhood, family relationships, mental health, contentedness, I mean, even obsession. And I'm sure there are more, because this show is just so great at confronting many different ideas and approaching them in non-threatening but effective ways. The animation is still top-notch too. I mean, not only do we get to see a ton of the colorful and squishy roundness of all the inhabitants of Centaurworld, but we also get to see more of Rider's world. And I love how this world starkly contrasts. I mean, it's using more drab coloring and giving it a bleak atmosphere. Now, I mentioned how not all of the songs got stuck in my head, but the performances are absolutely beautiful, and they sound like I'm watching a Broadway play. I mean, the voices are pure and strong, and I am continually impressed with all of the harmonies that are produced. So overall, this second season is just as enjoyable, if not more, than the first. The story gives us some wonderful resolution, but along the way, we get even more character development on our beloved herd. The songs and performances are spectacular, featuring wonderful lyrics that continually reinforce the story. And the narrative is still mature and deep, despite its whimsical and silly package. I loved the animation and character designs, and the color contrasts between the two worlds make for some engaging viewing. And probably best of all within the second season is that they let the freak flag fly from the highest peak, and boy is that flag huge, as it should be. I mean, they embrace the weird in a way that is right in line with everything that's been previously established in the story and feels perfectly natural within this narrative. At no point does the oddness feel like a gimmick, but instead comes across as a natural extension of the storytelling. So if you can't tell, I had a blast with this show. And even though I wasn't sure about it when I started episode 1 of season 1, this is a very rewarding watching experience and something that I'm going to revisit time and time again because of how much it made me laugh and smile. There's no sex, nudity, or profanity, but there is quite a bit of animated violence. I give Centaurworld season 2 4.5 out of 5 couches. Who's your favorite character in Centaurworld? While mine is Comfortable Doug, Flat Dallas is now a close second. I mean, let me know who you love in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.